Hi there and welcome to my podcast. With my cosplay character Dynamis Ryne, I will be going over questions and comments from YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, Twitch, and Odyssey. In addition, I will be covering patch 6.55 released this week. Today is January 17th, 2024. This week I had the pleasure of having GNation3 comment on one of my Rumble videos this week. In addition, on Twitter, I had my Twitter page noticed again by Garnish Alexandros. Thank you everyone for your comments and posts. We had patch 6.55 released on Tuesday. Patch 6.55 brought more to explore in the realms of Endwalker, including a new trial, tribal alliance quests, fields of glory changes, and the continuation of Tataru's grand endeavor, somehow further Hildebrand adventures and the Manderville weapon series. Let's start with the Gilded Araya trial. This fight seemed pretty straightforward. I think the biggest mechanic to look for is the ephemerality attack, which Asura spawns a large clone of herself and her clone repeats the same attacks. That and the six-bladed Khadga attack. The six-bladed Khadga attack does not follow a simple circular pattern, and players must pay attention to the choreographs or the attacks could end up wiping the party. Overall, I thought it was a great trial with excellent graphics, decorative designs, and fair difficulty for casual players. Next, I want to talk about the Tribal Alliance quest titled A Dream Worth Chasing. Players will need to complete all the main quest lines for Arcasadara, Omicron, and Leporit in Endwalker before seeing this quest start in Ultima Thule. Without giving out any spoilers, it's a great story tying all the Endwalker beast tribes together and how Jammingway makes a cafe better for the universe. I highly recommend the quest. Upon its completion, players will receive the adorable Lapop emote. As far as the Fields of Glory, I noticed some really great changes. I played through the new version, and I thought it was very good for players that want to strategize on whether to attack players or go for the ice tomliths. I'll recap some of the changes. The number of large icebound tomliths active at once has been increased from 1 to 2, and the number of small icebound tomliths active at once has been increased from 5 to 15 with an 8-minute activation. This is a big change from before because the small ice tomliths would only show one at a time. Now, there is an 8-minute wait for these ice tomliths to be reactivated. So, the small ice groups may appear twice during a PvP instance, lasting more than 16 minutes. Also, the data awarded for destroying large icebound tomliths has been reduced from 250 to 200 points, but the large icebound tomliths respawn faster than before, reappearing after 60 seconds or 1 minute. The last change I wanted to talk about is the HP for the ice tomliths. The maximum HP of large icebound tomliths has been reduced from 4 million to 3 million points, and maximum HP of small icebound tomliths has been reduced from 400,000 to 300,000 points. This means that players can destroy the ice tomliths faster than before. Players will also notice less credit for defeating another player because the data awarded for knocking out a rival player has been reduced from 10 to 5 points. Overall, the Field of Glory went through changes that made the PvP instance better, and I think players will have to prioritize between ice tomliths and defeating players on the fly to get a clean win. Next on the list are the somehow further Hildebrand adventures and Manderville weapons. To even start working on your Endwalker relic weapon, players must complete the somehow further Hildebrand adventures questline. This questline actually starts back into the Realm Reborn expansion and may take time to get through the whole questline up to Endwalker. Also, to get the final stage weapon, players will need a total of 6,000 Allegan Tombstones of Causality. The 6,000 Allegan Tombstones of Causality is split into 4 stages. The first stage, players need to exchange 1,500 Allegan Tombstones of Causality with Jubrunna in Rads at Han for 3 Mandarium meteorites. Then, players will need to visit the House Manderville Artisan and exchange those 3 Mandarium meteorites for their level 615 relic weapon. The second stage, players need to exchange 1,500 Allegan Tombstones of Causality with Jubrunna in Rads at Han for 3 complementary Chandrates. Then, players will need to visit the House Manderville Artisan and exchange those 3 complementary chondrites for their level 630 relic weapon. The third stage, players need to exchange 1500 Allagan Tombstones of Causality with Jubrana in Rads at Han for 3 amplifying Echondrites. Then, players will need to visit the House Manderville Artisan and exchange those 3 amplifying Echondrites for their level 640 5 relic weapon. For the last stage, players need to exchange 1500 Allagan Tombstones of Causality with Jubrana in Rads at Han for 3 Cosmic Crystallites. Then, players will need to visit the House Manderville Artisan and exchange those 3 Cosmic Crystallites for their level 665 relic weapon. Even though the relic weapons are somewhat of a grind, the weapons are worth it. Each of the weapons have a unique glow and design never before seen in Final Fantasy XIV, and are literally the best in-slot weapons for players. Finally, I want to end this week's podcast on the Tataru's grand endeavors. This quest chain also serves as a follow-up to side content in previous expansions, particularly the Shadow of Mach Alliance raid quests, the Four Lords, and the Sorrow of Werlet Trial series quests. Players must complete those for certain quests to open in this storyline. Again, without giving out any spoilers, it's a great story touching upon all the previous expansions. Also, if players complete these quests, it opens the portrait artist found in the Pillars of Ishgard. Players can buy portraits of the Scions and the 12 for 20,000 gil each. I highly recommend this quest for casual players. So, that's all I have for my 3rd weekly podcast. Next week, I will be going over my thoughts about upcoming new videos. The Moogle Treasure Hunt starting January 30th and the Maiden's Rhapsody event starting January 22nd. If you enjoy my podcasts, you can subscribe to my podcast channel on YouTube. Also, you can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, under Dynamis Ryne. I try to answer comments and questions found on my channels through my weekly podcasts. Feel free to post on my social media platforms and subscribe. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.